My wife pinned me onto the bed. The look in her eyes was equal parts obsessed and excited. Then she pulled out the exact same medicinal wine her best friend's parents had used. If they can do it, then so can I, honey. Time to clock out. Yep, my rich wife had officially entered boss mode. Not long ago, she had actually loaned me to her best friend to help dodge an arranged marriage. Then her friend's parents pushed everything way too far. They almost forced the whole relationship into becoming irreversible. Now things had escalated to the point where even I was being fought over. She was even carrying my child. My first instinct was to pack my bags and run. Instead, my wife dragged me right back and threw me onto the bed, back inside our massive villa. The three of us were sitting around the dinner table, laughing together. Seriously, this sweet and sour pork is absolutely insane. Crispy on the outside, tender inside, and the sauce is perfect. The foodie best friend stuffed another bite into her mouth. She praised my cooking while barely able to speak. Her beautiful face was puffed up with food. She looked exactly like a greedy little hamster. Meanwhile, my wife gracefully picked up a piece of fish. Then she shot her best friend a side-eye. So much food! And it still can't keep your mouth shut? You come to my house every single day! Don't tell me you've fallen for my husband! What? I nearly spat out the soup I had just swallowed. The foodie best friend, however, didn't even blush. She calmly swallowed her food. As if, no way. At most, I'd kidnap him and make him my personal chef. My wife immediately pulled me closer. Like a dragon protecting its treasure. A blatant declaration of ownership. He's my private chef. And my favorite husband. You want to steal him? Then you'd better pay extra. Watching those two bicker back and forth, I couldn't help smiling. My thoughts drifted back 1 month earlier. Everything that happened felt crazier than a light novel. I was a transmigrator, carrying knowledge from another world. After struggling here for 20 years, my greatest achievement was everyone around me believed I was nothing more than a substitute, successfully living the dream as the kept husband of a rich beauty. A replacement who happened to resemble my wife's so-called first love. About 70 or 80% alike. When that so-called original finally came looking for me, I had already prepared to get kicked to the curb. I was ready to pack up and disappear. But then the plot twist hit harder than any anime finale. Technically speaking, I was the one my wife had secretly loved back in school. I was her real first love. The other guy was just an NPC all along. Once the truth came out, he completely snapped. He tried to drug my wife and force a relationship. Instead, my wife mercilessly sent him straight to prison. Enjoy the government meals, buddy. During the weeks he kept targeting me. For my safety, my wife hid me at her best friend's apartment. Before that, the two of us barely knew each other. We weren't even close. She had always been distant. She gave off a keep-away aura 24/7. What I never expected was that beneath that Ice Queen exterior was a complete foodie shut-in. Just one meal. What's enough? My cooking conquered her instantly. From then on, she treated me like a wish-granting dragon. She ordered dishes non-stop. Sichuan cuisine, French fine dining, Japanese food. Everything she loved was on the menu. Still, she wasn't completely heartless. Since I couldn't leave the apartment, I was bored out of my mind. So she stayed with me and played games. We've binged movies and TV shows together. During those painfully boring days, it was nice to finally have someone to laugh and rant with. After the fake first love went to prison, I was finally free. But little did I know, what used to be a peaceful world with just my wife and me had suddenly gained one permanent extra roommate. The foodie best friend was basically an uninvited golden retriever. She showed up every single day to freeload another meal. Sometimes she'd eat until she was too full to even leave. Whenever my wife went to work, she would claim the couch as if she owned the place. Then we'd queue up for co-op games together. When dinner rolled around, I accepted my fate and cooked another feast for her. But the craziest part came at night. She practically stole my wife away from me. She shamelessly marched straight into our master bedroom. Then she claimed the bed that my wife and I used to share, and slept beside my wife like it was perfectly normal. Bad news? It felt like my wife was being stolen from me. Good news? The thief happened to be another woman. Back in the present, she finally put down her chopsticks. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at my wife. Come on! Can't you lend him to me for just a little while? She scooted closer. Her expression suddenly turned serious. I promise, I'll return him in perfect condition. My wife raised an eyebrow. She calmly set down her chopsticks, then looked at her dramatic best friend with amusement. So, what do you need him for? The foodie best friend swallowed the food in her mouth. For once, she actually looked embarrassed. It's my parents. Actually, it's mostly my annoying little brother. He's only 1 year younger than me, and he's already married. My parents are chasing me for marriage like debt collectors. They nag me every single day. She pushed her bowl aside, then sat right beside my wife. She hugged her arm and shook it nonstop. Her voice instantly became soft and pitiful. Chingqiu, my dearest Chingqiu, please lend me your husband so I can fool my parents. You know me. I'm basically a shut-in. All I do is eat and play games. I don't even know any guys. Out of everyone I know, he's the only one I could realistically introduce to my parents. Please let me borrow him. I'm begging you. Watching her act all cute gave me chills. This woman switched personalities faster than loading screens. My wife was obviously weak against this routine. Even though she kept a straight face, she gently poked her friend's forehead with one finger. Fine, you can borrow him. I don't mind. Then her tone completely changed. Her eyes landed on me. The possessiveness in her gaze left zero room for argument. But remember this, you bring him back in perfect condition. Nothing on him is allowed to go missing. He belongs to me. Not even one hair. The foodie best friend instantly jumped to her feet. She stood at attention, like a soldier receiving orders. Roger that. Even if I lose something, he won't. I sat there like an NPC. I couldn't get a single word in. Then again, that's life when you're living off your rich wife. In this world, my wife outranked everything. If she'd already agreed, what chance did I have to refuse? And just like that, my own wife personally appointed me as the foodie best friend's temporary boyfriend. Just when I accepted my fate, my wife suddenly remembered something. Wait, at our wedding, your parents didn't come. Only you and your brother did. They've never met him. The foodie best friend winked mischievously. She looked incredibly pleased with herself. My parents had an emergency that day. That's why they missed it. They have absolutely no idea what your husband looks like. So relax. There's no way this plan can fail. Trust me, I've got this. Only then did my wife finally relax. She picked up her chopsticks again. and continued eating as elegantly as ever. That afternoon, my wife drove off to the company. The huge villa was left with just me and my freeloading temporary girlfriend. The atmosphere changed the moment my wife left. Everything suddenly felt a little awkward. She sprawled across the couch. Without looking up from her phone, she called out, "You done getting ready? Make yourself look handsome. My parents already have dinner waiting for you." I stood in front of the wardrobe, looking at my reflection. After spending forever, I sighed. I'm not exactly that handsome. This is literally my final form. Tesk. She finally put her phone down, then slowly looked me up and down. A playful smile appeared. Being too humble is just another way of bragging. Got it? Oh, and don't forget these gifts. They're for my parents. I picked them based on what they like. I weighed the gift boxes in my hands. They were surprisingly heavy. My mood sank with them. This is just an act. Isn't this a little overkill? You're making me nervous. She pushed herself away from the doorway, then walked straight toward me. A faint, refreshing fragrance drifted over. Those beautiful eyes sparkled mischievously. She looked like a fox plotting something. What if it becomes real? She lowered her voice. There was a teasing smile in her tone. Wouldn't we need to be fully prepared? Her breath brushed against my cheek. My heart skipped a beat. I instinctively took half a step back, then laughed to hide my panic. If this somehow becomes real, my wife will probably slice me into 100 pieces. You'd better be the one who saves me. We'll run away together and disappear into the horizon. I meant it as nothing more than a joke. Instead, she suddenly smacked my shoulder. Her eyes lit up. Of course, you're my boyfriend, so it's my responsibility. She proudly lifted her chin and waved dramatically. Let's go! We'll become fugitives together! I drove my wife's low-profile Porsche, with my temporary girlfriend riding shotgun. We headed toward the so-called Dragon's Den. Her family lived in an upscale villa community. Her parents turned out to be much kinder than I'd expected. Warm smiles never left their faces. There wasn't a trace of wealthy family arrogance. The moment I stepped inside, they practically pushed me into a seat. So, you're Zhao Cao? Sit. Don't be shy. Treat this like your own home. Her mother poured me a cup of tea, all while smiling as she observed me. Her father was much more straightforward. He immediately got to the point. So, Xiao Cao, Lin Yue says you graduated from Jinda University? My heart skipped a beat. Here comes the boss fight! I nodded. Then followed the script we'd rehearsed. Yes, sir! I graduated from Jinda. I answered that one with complete confidence. Because it was actually true. Except for one detail. Oh my, that's an elite university! Her parents exchanged excited looks. Their smiles grew even wider. What was your major? And what do your parents do? My parents are both teachers. One teaches high school. The other teaches middle school. They inspired me. So now I'm also a high school teacher. The moment I said that, it was unbelievably effective. Her parents were absolutely delighted. Her mother slapped her thigh in excitement. A family of educators? That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. People like that would raise great children. At the dinner table, I was treated like royalty. Her mother kept piling food onto my plate. Before long, it looked like a miniature mountain. Meanwhile, her father chatted with me enthusiastically. We talked about everything from education to current events. So, how did you two meet? Her mother suddenly asked. I glanced sideways. The foodie best friend was completely focused on eating. She clearly had no intention of saving me. So I had to improvise on the spot. We met at a book club. I thought she was different from everyone else. She's very straightforward. Unlike most girls I've met. My brain was working overtime, trying to make every lie sound believable. So, how long have you been dating? Almost a year. And what do you think of our daughter? I looked at her mouth, still stuffed with food. Then forced out a compliment. She's amazing! She may act like a kid sometimes, but she's incredibly thoughtful and genuinely kind. She suddenly looked up at me. Her expression became complicated. Then she quickly lowered her head again, pretending she'd choked on a rib. She coughed for ages. By the time dinner ended, I felt like I'd earned an Oscar for Best Actor. Her parents' eyes had changed completely. They weren't evaluating the future son-in-law anymore. They were already looking at me like family. After dinner, her mother warmly grabbed my hand. Xiao, why don't you stay tonight? We have a guest room. You'll be comfortable. Before I could politely decline, the foodie best friend shot to her feet. Mom, he has an early faculty meeting tomorrow morning. He has to get back. As she spoke, she practically pushed me toward the door. Her parents watched their daughter, looking completely helpless. They could only sigh. Once we got back into the car, I finally let out a long breath. My back was soaked with sweat. On the drive back to my wife's villa, I kept driving, then glanced toward the passenger seat. She looked completely satisfied. So, did my performance meet expectations? That was Oscar-worthy, wasn't it? The way your parents looked at me, they practically wanted us to run straight to City Hall and get married. She lazily leaned back in her seat, then gave me a big thumbs up. A grin spread across her face. Yep, absolutely, Mr. Oscar winner. You've earned your paycheck. Back at the villa, our strange three-person routine continued. My wife was still the same possessive powerhouse, CEO, and I was still her exclusive personal chef. The foodie best friend and I played games together. She loudly called me a total noob every match. A few days later, during dinner, everything looked familiar. The same delicious smell. But today, she acted strangely. She barely touched her food. Instead, she stared at my wife, then wrapped both arms around her and started shaking her. Her voice turned sickeningly sweet. Ching-Chu! My precious Ching-Chu! My wife looked completely dizzy. She rolled her eyes. What now? Just spit it out. No more drama. The foodie best friend smiled sheepishly. Your husband worked so well last time. So, I was thinking, does he come with after-sales service too? Can I borrow him again? I almost choked on my soup. Since when did borrowing someone's husband include customer support? My wife slowly put down her bowl. My boss wife frowned. She narrowed her eyes at the foodie gamer girl. What kind of chaos are you planning this time? It's not me causing trouble. It's my parents. The foodie gamer girl looked genuinely defeated. They're forcing me to attend another family dinner tomorrow. My little brother and his wife will be there. And they specifically told me to bring you. She pointed straight at me. No matter what excuse I make, they won't let me off the hook. They've completely accepted you. They think you're their future son-in-law, and they absolutely love you. My boss wife kept looking back and forth between the two of us. She was clearly weighing every possible risk. In the end, she couldn't withstand the Foodie gamer girl's puppy dog attack. She sighed. Fine, you win. I give up, but the rules stay the same. She raised one finger, then poked me right in the chest. She turned back to the Foodie gamer girl. Return him in perfect condition. If even one hair is missing, we're going to have problems. As we prepared to leave, I instinctively walked toward the trunk to check whether the gifts were ready. We're not bringing gifts this time? I asked while she hurried me into the car. She waved it off. Completely carefree. Nah, it's just a family dinner. Just family eating together. Let's go already. Just bring that handsome face of yours. Seeing how relaxed she looked, I finally let my guard down. Our car rolled smoothly into her family's villa. Her parents welcomed us as warmly as ever. But when we stepped inside, her younger brother and sister-in-law were nowhere to be seen. Only her parents were in the living room, smiling directly at me. The Foodie gamer girl froze. She looked around, totally dumbfounded. Where are my brother and his wife? Her mother walked over, holding her arm affectionately. She answered, as if it were no big deal. They had an emergency at work. His wife went with him. They couldn't make it. Since you're already here, you can't just leave now. Her father was already inviting me to sit down with a huge grin. Soon, the table was overflowing with food. He walked to an antique cabinet and carefully carried out a translucent glass wine jar. He broke the red wax seal. A powerful medicinal aroma mixed with alcohol instantly filled the room. The smell completely took over the entire dining room. Come on, Xiao Cao. He enthusiastically poured me a full glass. The amber-colored liquor glowed under the lights. I've been saving this for over 10 years. I wouldn't have opened it for anyone else. Tonight, we're drinking until one of us falls over. My heart skipped a beat. Something felt seriously wrong. I leaned in carefully and peeked inside the jar. One glance, and my scalp went numb. Castanche, premium nourishing herbs. Prepared remnanya root. Goji berries, those were normal enough. But what the heck was that sediment at the bottom? Dog, bull, horse, deer. I even spotted something that looked suspiciously like tiger. This wasn't wine. This was a legendary max-level tonic in liquid form. At that moment, I understood everything. This wasn't a family dinner. It was a full-on boss fight disguised as hospitality. Their mission was simple. Buff me to max stats by force. The smiling future father-in-law had already handed me the glass. What was I supposed to do? Tell him, sir, this potion is too overpowered. My body can't handle this legendary buff. Wasn't that basically a public slap to his pride? All I could do was force an awkward smile. I swallowed my hesitation and accepted the glass. Sir, you're too kind. I'll gladly accept your generosity. I downed the drink in one gulp. A scorching wave burned from my throat all the way into my stomach. Then, a strange warmth spread through every part of my body. It surged through my limbs. Just drinking isn't enough, kid. Eat! Eat! Her mother smiled as she piled food onto my plate. She moved so fast, I didn't even get the chance to refuse. A mountain of huge, juicy oysters landed in front of me. These were flown in from overseas. They're incredibly fresh. Young men should eat plenty. Before I could react, another plate of braised venison appeared. This venison comes straight from our own farm. It's a real tonic. Then came stir-fried lamb, chive omelet. Her father kept clinking glasses with me, one toast after another. Meanwhile, her mother kept filling my bowl. The two of them worked together flawlessly. One kept pouring drinks. The other kept feeding me. Their overwhelming hospitality was suffocating. Before long, my head started to feel heavy. My mind was becoming increasingly foggy. Everything I looked at began to blur into double images. My entire body felt like it had been set on fire. The heat was unbearable. Sir! Ma'am! Excuse me! I braced myself against the table. Even my tongue was starting to stumble. I think I'm a little drunk. I'm burning up. I'd like to lie down for a while. That was my final cry for help. She seemed to realize something was wrong. She put down her chopsticks. Mom! That's enough. He really doesn't look well. I'll take him upstairs to rest. She stood up and reached over to help me. Hey! What's the rush? Her mother stopped her immediately. Then she dropped another huge piece of meat into her bowl. You haven't finished eating yet. I know how much you can eat. You're our little foodie. At the same time, her father raised his glass. He smiled directly at his daughter. It's been ages since we've shared a drink. Come, have one with Dad. Just one, caught between both of her parents. She couldn't move at all. I watched helplessly as her mother stood up. She walked over with a warm smile. She gently held my arm. All right. Young people shouldn't push themselves. If you're drunk, go get some rest. Her voice sounded gentle beside my ear. Yet it felt like a devil whispering. I'll take you to a room. She supported me as we walked. Her grip was gentle, yet impossible to resist. My head felt as heavy as lead. The world spun around me. I could barely make out that she was leading me into a room on the second floor. The door opened. A faint, refreshing fragrance greeted me. It wasn't perfume. It was the unique scent of shampoo, body wash, and a girl's natural fragrance. Get some good rest here. She helped me to the bedside. My body gave out. I collapsed onto the soft mattress. The bed was beside the window. A cool night breeze brushed across my burning face. For a brief moment, my mind cleared. Lying on the bed, I hazily looked around the room. Pink wallpaper. A desk covered with plush toys and manga. That familiar sweet scent hit me with sudden realization. This was her room. I tried to force myself upright, but the burning heat inside me only grew more intense. Every limb felt unbearably heavy. My entire body had gone completely limp. I couldn't even find the strength to move a single finger. Downstairs, her father was still enthusiastically urging everyone to drink. My dear daughter, it's been ages since we shared a drink together. Come, have one with Dad. She had always been an absolute lightweight. The type who got drunk after a single glass. Against the power of that special liquor. She didn't stand a chance. Soon her head was spinning. Her cheeks flushed crimson. Before long, the bedroom door opened again. Her mother helped her inside. She could barely keep her balance. Mom, I'm so dizzy! Her voice was thick with drunkenness. She sounded like a child acting cute. If you're drunk, get some rest. Her mother's voice was unbelievably gentle. She guided her to the bedside. Just as she was about to lie down, her mother suddenly remembered something. She pulled a tiny white pill bottle from her pocket, then poured out a small black pill. Take this hangover medicine. Otherwise, you'll wake up with a terrible headache. In the darkness, I couldn't see her expression, but I heard her grateful, affectionate voice. Mom, you're the best! She didn't suspect a thing. She accepted the pill and swallowed it with a sip of water. Then, she staggered toward the other side of the bed, the side closest to the door. Without even turning on the light, she collapsed onto the mattress. A relieved sigh escaped her lips. Her mother looked at the two of us lying there. A satisfied smile slowly appeared. She quietly slipped out of the room. Click. A faint metallic sound echoed outside. The door had been locked from the outside. Then, I heard her whisper excitedly to herself. Her voice was barely audible. Once it's done, let's see how you avoid getting married. The breeze from the window cleared my mind for a moment. I regained a sliver of awareness, but the burning sensation inside me only grew stronger. My reason screamed that I had to leave immediately. Yet my body refused to obey. The heat was unbearable. An indescribable emptiness spread from deep within me. I was in serious trouble. Then I realized something was wrong with her, too. That wasn't any ordinary hangover pill. Whatever she'd taken was even stronger than the liquor I'd drunk. She began tossing and turning on the bed. Soft, pained murmurs escaped her lips. Her body temperature kept rising. In the darkness, I heard the rustle of fabric as she adjusted her clothing. The faint fragrance around her, mixed with the heat filling the room. It kept wearing down what little self-control I had left. Barely conscious, she seemed to be searching for something cool. Anything to ease the burning sensation. Her hands wandered across the bed. Then her feverish body ended up pressing against me. Morning sunlight slipped through the curtains. It flickered across my eyelids. My head felt like it was splitting apart. The after effects of the alcohol left my thoughts in chaos. All I could sense was a warm, soft weight in my arms. A familiar scent lingered beneath my nose. It wasn't the fragrance I had expected. My eyes flew open. The first thing I saw was her sleeping face only inches away. Her long eyelashes trembled gently. Even in her sleep, she frowned slightly. And the two of us were holding each other tightly. My mind went completely blank. Almost at the exact same moment, she woke up too. Her beautiful eyes shifted from confusion to shock. In less than a second, a piercing scream shattered the quiet morning. Then came a loud, sharp smack. The left side of my face burned with pain. That slap completely stunned me. Before I could even explain, she suddenly sat upright, frantically pulling the blanket around herself. But she moved too quickly. A sharp pain shot through her body. She gasped involuntarily, her face twisted in obvious pain. My eyes drifted uncontrollably to the bed beneath us. On the white bedsheet, were several vivid crimson stains, like plum blossoms blooming on fresh snow. They silently confirmed that last night had truly happened. The room fell into a deathly silence. I could even hear my own heartbeat pounding in my chest. I opened my mouth, but my throat was so dried that no words would come out. She spoke before I could. Her voice trembled with tears, yet it carried unwavering determination. You have to take responsibility. She stared directly into my eyes. Her eyes were red. And Chincho absolutely cannot find out about this. Not yet. My mind was in complete chaos. I could only nod instinctively. Okay, I'll take responsibility. Of course I would. Did I even have a choice? I was still inside her family's house. Who knew if those parents, who had gone so far to force a grandchild, would hear me refuse responsibility and decide to bury me in the backyard? The two of us hurriedly got dressed, like guilty students, caught red-handed as we headed downstairs. Her parents were already sitting at the dining table. They looked at me with unbelievably warm smiles, as if they were admiring a masterpiece they'd just completed. You're awake? Come have breakfast. I made porridge especially for you two. Her mother smiled kindly. She had been holding back her anger all morning. Finally, she exploded. She slammed the table and confronted her parents. What kind of parents are you? You actually drugged your own daughter! Her parents remained completely unfazed. They simply smiled and served us more porridge, as though nothing unusual had happened. That awkward breakfast left me unable to eat. When we returned to Chingchu's villa, everything had changed. If before, she had merely been a frequent visitor, now, she acted like the lady of the house. She never wanted to leave. Our relationship became incredibly complicated. The entire afternoon, we deliberately kept our distance. Yet our eyes kept meeting by accident. There was excitement in her gaze. There was hesitation, and emotions I couldn't even begin to describe. They were overwhelming. Every glance between us felt like an electric shock. It left my heart burning. I couldn't calm down, so I hid in the kitchen to prepare dinner, trying to drown out my thoughts with the sound of chopping vegetables. But I knew this was only the beginning. I held on to my final shred of restraint, at least inside Chingchu's villa. Nothing else happened between us. But I understood, between the two of us, an unbreakable bond now existed. It had tied our fates tightly together. And at the other end of that bond was Chingchu, who knew nothing. After that day, a month passed. That month felt like walking a tightrope. Below me was a bottomless abyss. And in my hands, I didn't even have a balancing pole. She became even more comfortable living in the villa. She completely treated it as her own home. The relationship between the three of us grew more complicated than ever. During the day, we still sat together in the living room playing co-op games. But the easy banter and playful trash talk were gone. Instead, there was only suffocating silence. The air always felt charged with invisible tension. We carefully maintained a fragile peace. Neither of us dared ignite the fuse. I was still the house's personal chef, but cooking no longer felt the way it used to. That evening, I prepared a table full of dishes. The three of us sat down together, Chingchu, as always. elegantly sampled every dish. Meanwhile, I absentmindedly pushed rice around my bowl. She seemed unusually quiet today. Her favorite sweet and sour ribs were sitting right in front of her. Yet she didn't touch a single piece. She simply lowered her head. Her face looked pale. She kept poking at the rice with her chopsticks. Then she suddenly covered her mouth. Her stomach churned violently. She gagged. The strange silence at the table shattered instantly. She didn't actually throw up. She only coughed hard several times. Tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. Ching-Chu immediately set down her chopsticks. She leaned over with concern, gently patting her back. Mingye, are you okay? Did you eat something bad? She frowned. Wait, when we went shopping earlier today, you were already feeling unwell. You've said it several times. Are you getting sick? After dinner. I'll take you to the hospital. The hospital. Those words hit me like a bolt of lightning. A chill instantly ran down my spine. Cold sweat formed across my forehead. I only had one thought. Please don't let this be what I think it is. No, I absolutely couldn't let Ching-Chu take her there. My mind raced. The words escaped before I could stop them. I had to stop this disaster somehow. Ching-Chu, why don't I take her instead? My voice sounded dry. Don't you still have company paperwork this afternoon? You shouldn't delay your work. The moment I finished speaking, Ching-Chu's expression immediately darkened. She turned toward me. Those sharp eyes locked onto mine, filled with displeasure and suspicion. I finally have a few days off, and you're trying to send me back to work? Her voice turned icy. Every word pierced straight into my chest. Besides, if you take her, do you really think it's appropriate for a man to accompany her? A mocking smile appeared on her lips. Then she said something that froze my blood. You're not her boyfriend. My heart clenched, as though an invisible hand had grabbed it. Even breathing became difficult. Her firm attitude left me completely unable to argue. Not a single word came out. I could only watch helplessly as she stood up and spoke in a tone that allowed no refusal. Mingye, ignore him. I'll take you. She gently helped her to her feet. Then they left the dining room. I remained where I was, listening to the front door open and close. Listening to the engine start. Listening as the car drove away from the villa. When the final sound disappeared into the night, the enormous villa fell into complete silence. That silence descended like an enormous net. It trapped me completely. I had never felt so terrified. I sat at the dining table, staring at the dishes growing cold. My thoughts were a complete mess. I sat there for what felt like forever, thinking, run. That single thought erupted in my mind and drowned out everything else. Within seconds, it had completely taken over my thoughts. I had to get out before they came back. Lie low for a while and let this disaster cool off. Then I'd come back. Or maybe wait until everything had been explained. I shot up from my chair without thinking. Like a headless chicken, I bolted upstairs. I rushed straight into my room. I yanked open the wardrobe. Then I stuffed a few random clothes into a backpack. Next, I grabbed my passport and every bank card I owned. I had to leave immediately. Every second counted. Driving wasn't an option. I was terrified my location could be traced through my car. So I relied on my own legs. I sprinted through that enormous, ridiculously oversized villa district as fast as I could. Only one image kept replaying in my head. The moment she confronted me, standing there with that unreadable expression, asking me to explain everything. I dragged my suitcase behind me, running with everything I had toward the estate's front gate. Seriously, who builds a neighborhood this ridiculously huge? Even while running, I couldn't stop complaining. I kept cursing under my breath as I ran. The suitcase wheels rattled across the smooth pavement. The sound echoed through the silent night. Every roll of the wheels felt unbearably loud. I had packed too much. The weight was slowing me down. My lungs burned with every breath. Sweat streamed into my eyes. They stung so badly I could barely see. The grand entrance gate finally came into view. Hope surged through me. I pushed myself even faster. Then, two blinding headlights cut through the darkness. A car sped straight toward me. I recognized it instantly. It drifted sharply across the road. The tires screamed against the pavement. It stopped directly in front of me. Every possible escape route was blocked. The driver's door opened. Ching Tu stepped out without hesitation. He didn't even look surprised. He walked straight toward me. His face was completely expressionless. His gaze felt as cold as winter. A chill ran through my entire body. My hands turned cold. My luggage! My lips trembled as I spoke. I tried to say something about my bags. The security staff will send them later. He gave me no chance to argue. He grabbed my wrist firmly. His grip was so strong that I couldn't break free. We have something more important to discuss. He pulled me into the car. The door slammed shut behind me. My suitcase was left outside. My belongings were left behind as I was taken back inside. We returned to the villa. He remained silent the entire way. Without another word, he led me upstairs to a private room. The door closed behind us, sealing off the outside world. The atmosphere immediately became tense. I realized there was no escaping this conversation. Before I could gather my thoughts, he confronted me directly. His expression revealed a storm of conflicting emotions. He looked down at me in silence. His eyes searched for an answer. I couldn't tell whether he was angry, disappointed, or hurt. He leaned closer. His voice was calm, but every word carried weight. The question he asked left me speechless. So, there's more to this than you've told me. You kept it from me! The consequences had already begun. My mind went completely blank. He already knew something had happened. He waited quietly for my explanation. There was disappointment in his voice more than anger. He questioned everything that had happened recently. I could only deny any misunderstanding. No, I answered instinctively. Even my voice was shaking. I knew this confrontation was only the beginning. Listen to me. I can explain. It's not what you think. Nothing happened here on purpose. It was an accident. A genuine accident. I felt like someone standing before judgment. I desperately tried to defend myself. The Ice Queen quietly watched me panic. Then she suddenly smiled. There was no anger or murderous intent. Instead, she looked as though she already knew everything. I know it wasn't intentional. That calm reply completely caught me off guard. If you had done it on purpose, things would have ended very differently. She wasn't joking. Not even a little. I barely had time to relax. Her expression suddenly changed. Her eyes turned ice cold. She tightened her grip and confronted me. You should have stayed and explained. Instead, you tried to run. I was still processing everything she had said. I couldn't respond. The pressure in the room kept rising. Her determined gaze never left mine. There was a fierce resolve in her eyes. It wasn't simple anger. It was the refusal to accept defeat. I refuse to lose! Her quiet words struck harder than a shout. She revealed how deeply this situation affected her. She challenged me directly. The tension reached its peak. She stepped closer. The distance between us disappeared. The room fell silent. Neither of us looked away. The atmosphere became overwhelming. She declared that she would not back down. My mind went completely blank. Nothing made sense anymore. Wasn't I supposed to be the one apologizing? How had this turned into a contest? Instinctively, I tried to resist. I pushed back, trying to regain control. I refused to surrender immediately. Please just hear me out. There is nothing more to say. She wouldn't let the discussion continue. The confrontation escalated. I was completely overwhelmed. My strength wasn't enough. Even so, I refused to give up. I clung to my remaining pride. He challenged her. Through gritted teeth, I stated my position. It was a matter of personal pride. She stared at me in surprise, then paused. A playful smile appeared. She unexpectedly accepted the challenge. She stepped aside, waiting calmly. She watched with confidence. Her expression said it all. Show me what you've got. I took a deep breath. The confrontation continued. An hour later, I collapsed from exhaustion. Every muscle in my body ached. I had reached my limit. I admitted defeat with a tired voice. Almost laughing, I conceded the argument. She smiled in satisfaction. The confrontation finally came to an end. That night taught me an unforgettable lesson. I had seriously underestimated her. The next morning, I woke up hungry. More accurately, I woke up exhausted. Every part of my body felt sore after the previous night's emotional confrontation. I